Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another YouTube video. So today we're gonna take off where we left off. So right now, if we go to our index.js, we have an API users route. So if we go into our routes, we can see that we have this test, and just so we verify where we left off, here it's not cheap.com. We go to localhost. We gotta test the 5000 port API users. So this works, and I'm gonna show you. Here I have my server running. Here I have my MongoDB running, and this, as always, I have it empty in case I want to install or create packages. So that said, let's continue expanding this. So first of all, we want to create the signup route. So we're gonna do a router.post, and we want to do signup. Now, as I showed you previously, here we have a test controller, but we wanna create a signup controller, and we're gonna put it here once we create it. So for now, we're just gonna do that. Obviously this has no logic, so this is not gonna work. So let's go ahead and let's go. Actually, by the way, in order to make a sign up, what you need to do is obviously create a new user with its specifications, email, password, and whatever we're gonna be putting into this user. Therefore, for that we need a model, and our model we're gonna be using MongoDB library in order to make our model. And this model, which in MongoDB it's called Schema, is gonna basically have a blueprint of how our data is gonna be looking like. In this specific case, our user. So I'm gonna go ahead and you can create it in the terminal, and I will. So I'm gonna do make directory models. So now that we have the folder models right here, as you can see, I'm gonna create a file inside our models folder named user.js, because it's also gonna be a JS file. So we are into the models. We see that we have this untracked. So after we finish with this session, we'll add it to our Git repository. That way you guys can have somewhere to compare. So I'm importing the mongoose library, and I'm going to require mongoose. We've done this before in our index.js. Now we're going to use crypto in order to encrypt some information that we need. Const UI dv1. This is not gonna, well, as far as I understand, so crypto, we use it to encrypt or hash our information. And UUIDV1, this library, we use it to salt. So I'm just gonna briefly explain this. Let's say that we have our user, and the name is, well, username, for example. And my name is Arturo, right? So we're gonna leave that as it is in the database. Email, so filioarturo@gmail.com. Now the password, for security reasons, we don't want to leave the password as the user typed it in. We want to put some scramble in it, and that way we keep the scramble. And then whenever you have your website already done, what you want to do is compare the scramble that you have in your database against the actual password plus the same scramble algorithm that you used compared to what you have in your database. You know what I mean? So if the user, I don't know, let's say they put backpack 123. So what's going to happen is that, I don't know, and this is just a random algorithm. I'm not saying, well, not algorithm, but a pattern to hash. So I said oh, backpack. So I'm going to do B and then 3 ramble characters, right? Then A, 3 random characters. Then Z, 3 random characters. K, 3. P, 3. A, 3. Or whatever, maybe I just typed 4. But whatever, you get the gist, right? So every single character, you type something random in order to in order to make it look different. So this inside of this you have backpack, but it's scrambled, and this is called hashing. Obviously it's a little bit more complicated than that, but this is like the general gist. And then because some hackers dedicate their lives in order to hack this, programmers came up with like another degree of security in order to make databases, well, just information overall and processes more secure. So what they do is it's called salt. And I believe that the term comes from like, okay, you hash it, well, it's not safe enough, so add some seasoning, like add some salt and pepper. So since no one wants to say like, oh, I'll add salt and pepper, just add salt. So you have like this, blob right here, or this like soup of letters, and then you add another layer of randomness in it. And this is going to be also an algorithm coming from this library. So whenever the user in the front end puts password, the backend is going to say like, oh, hash it, then salt it, then compare it to what you have in the database. And I'm just taking my time to explain this because you guys are going to see how we're going to hash and salt the password in order to make things a little bit more secure. Okay, so now that I explained that, so we're going to create the schema, and we're going to call this user schema. So this is going to come from the Mongoose library, and we're going to use the method schema to create this. So the user is going to have a name, right? And that's going to be a type of string. We're going to do trim true. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know exactly what the trim does, but you guys go ahead and Google it. I believe that you can also not include it, but I'm just going to include it since like the project, I forgot about it. I'll Google it later. What is important though is the max length. So this is the amount of characters that our name can have. And the type is obviously going to be a string, so that like those things are the most important thing. I could Google it right now, but I really don't want to waste time because this is going to take some time. So email string trim true require true unique. Actually, you know what? I'm going to Google it because there's also something that I want to not Slack. There you go. Chrome. So trim true MongoDB. Let's see what it says. What is the main trim when using MongoDB? It's basically to ensure things that you save to the schema are properly trimmed. If you add type string to your field, translate like hello or hello. Okay, so it would trim the spaces. Okay. That's basically what it means. So if someone, because you don't know this, but users, when they go into forms, so for example, I'm just putting things in a form. So if I type my name, Arturo, sometimes you see right there, right here, right there, I'm leaving a space. And then it hit save. So the string is going to save as Artur space end of string. So what trim does is it trims the string. I forgot about that, but now you guys know. Now the second thing that I wanted to know was require or required in MongoDB. So can I in Mongoose validator Mongoose schema. Required. Okay, yeah, because I have a typo. I put require, but it's required. Okay. Here. I'm going to have to correct some of the stuff later. Alright, so required, true. Now, as I was saying before, this is going to be our hash password, which is going to be the scramble plus the salt that we're going to create in a bit. Like, we're going to add some more logic about, I'm not going to put about for the user. I don't believe that we need it. I just want to make sure. So robo3t, that's where I have my databases. And e-commerce. This is a collection, so let's view document. So history, yeah, we don't care about the history. Name, yeah, that's myself. See, this is salt, and this is a password. So hold on. So I think the about we use it for salt history. I don't think we use it for anything in particular. Yeah, so since I don't see any use here, I'm just not gonna make use of it. We'll change it in case that we need it, but for now I don't see a use for this example, so I'm not gonna leave it. So string, as you saw in the database, like the salt is gonna be kept separately from the password, because that's gonna be like extra code. No, not extra code, that's not the word that I'm looking for. So like extra unique scramble that will be assigned to the user and compared against the password, the hash password plus the salt. So history, I don't think we're gonna use history for this example, so I'm not gonna put history either way. I mean, also I'm not gonna put history also because it's not needed for this. Okay, so yes, we want timestamps. Timestamps are very important. So especially if you want to put like, oh, user created since this day. So I mean, there's obviously more functionality to that, but for now, let's just leave it like that. So password dot set function password equals password, and I believe we need the load dash library for this. Wait, what am I doing? By the way, guys, you know that I love arrow functions. For this library in specific, the arrow functions do not work, so we're just gonna use the old function type of setup. So here we have the virtual password, and right now this is where we are going to apply the salt. And this is where we hash the password and encrypt it. Okay. Encrypt password. All right. Function, just want to make sure the structure is correct, and as I said before, I need to import the load dash because everything that you see here comes from the load dash library, I believe. Or not? No, never mind, it doesn't. We will need to use load dash though at some point. Anyway, let's finish this, because basically what this is that the virtual password is the actual password that the user inputs, but the one that we're gonna be saving is the hashed one. So here, as you can see, is like this hash equals this encrypted password. Like we're making the backpack 123 the virtual one, and the actual one is gonna be the hashed. Just so you guys are aware what's going on with this. So user schema dot methods equals authenticate function, and same here. As you can see, I'm not using arrow functions because this library does not support arrow functions, and it took me some time to figure that out, so just saving you guys some time. And I know there's a lot of typing, but you know, we have to pass this through in order to have the user model, and we can move on to the sign up route after this. Okay, encrypt password. So again, function password, if not password, return try, and this is where we're going to use our crypto hashing method. So create hmac this dot salt update password dot digest hex, which I believe it stands for hexadecimal. So catch error if there's an error. Don't make this crash, just return nothing. And we're done with we're done creating the user model. So modules export mongoose.module user schema. Maybe I have a typo somewhere because it so user schema. No, okay, no typos. Good. User schema. Good. So I'm just gonna save this, and if there's an error, just go ahead and check in your terminal. If there's a typo, so if for example, I don't know, I type this, I believe, okay, maybe not this, but just check your terminal that you don't have any errors, because this is still a JavaScript file, and if you have a typo here, you will be seeing something in your server pointing that error out. Anyway, though, so we have our user model. All this is in order to create the hash password and put it here, and it's basically going in detail of what I just explained a little earlier ago. So we're gonna have our name, email, password. That's all we need for our user. Trying to think if we want, I think I'm missing something. So history, about, email, because the user, okay, so the user should be able to own a specific video games in this case. So I don't know, I think that's where, like, I forgot about the about and the history. So the about, for my project at least, the about, I think, is like what objects, like what video games are related to this user. So I think I'm just gonna add it now that I look back back in my notes, and if we don't need it, we'll delete it. But let's just add that just to be safe, and rather than like going back and adding it, we already have it. So history, and history, I believe it's like previously owned, or yeah, previously owned video games in this case. But yeah, so let's add that. If we don't need it, then we'll delete about in history. And just want to make sure I don't have any typos. Perfect. So yeah, just make sure that you also add about in history. So I'm going to delete this. Okay, now let's go into our sign up. We have now everything ready to start our sign up logic. So we're going to go to our auth controller. And we have our test controller. Now we're going to do exports dot sign up controller. So we'll have our request and response. Here I am going to use an arrow function because I love arrow functions. And now we just want to make sure that we are importing the right libraries before I start going through the logic. So we're going to make use of the model that we just created, and that is in the folder we just created, which is in the models folder, and this is the user file. Now we're also going to make use of JWT in the future, not for sign up, but for sign in, which will, if we have time, we're also going to make that route. So let's just import it now. Same thing for express JWT, which is the JSON web token. So two different libraries. One is just a JSON web token, and the other one is specifically for the Express framework. And then this we have not created, so right now I'm just gonna write it and comment it out. So error handler equals require helpers db error handler. And so the helpers is going to be a folder just like models, and our handler is going to be another JS file, just as any other JS file, like the auth controller, for example. I just want to make sure, okay, yeah, we do need it on our sign-up controller. So let's also get that out of the way quickly. Can I find model UUIDV? Which is in the user. Maybe I didn't import it right. So I'm going to check in my notes. UUIDV1. UUIDV1. Let's check our JSON. That's because I don't have it installed. Duh. Okay, so just gonna go in my notes and check which packages I'm missing to install. So let's go here. Let's start with UUID, which is the one that we were missing. We are also missing the Lodash, which we'll be using later. Formidable, which we'll also use later, not yet. And let's use, yeah, course, because we'll be using it also very soon for our front end. Yeah. So I'm planning to do a front end both in Angular and React, just so you guys can see the difference between them two. And for that, we're gonna need course. But yeah, for now, let's just install those. So we have course, formidable, Lodash, UUID, and I believe that's about it. So now the error should be should be gone. All right, perfect. So it is gone. So we're gonna close this, and we're gonna continue with our auth controller. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because I don't want to get past 35 minutes. So let's go ahead and create the helpers, this folder right here. So we're gonna do make directory helpers, and then let's do touch helpers, yeah, and inside helpers we want to do db error handler. Alright, so let's go to the DB error handler. And I'm just going to rename it because I messed up. So I don't know if you guys know this trick. So you can do in our helpers folder, we have the DB error handler, and we want to name it to somewhere inside the helpers folder and DB error handler, but we want to append the JS. And now, as you see, this was deleted, and we created a new one with the proper JS. Now, if you guys like, don't get too caught up on that, just delete it right here and create a new file from here if you guys don't want to go through the hassle of the terminal. Just a neat trick in case you guys want to do it. Alright, so DB error handler. So I want to get my link filter. Okay, you know what? So this is just validation. Alright, you can see here the whole file. Now I don't want to spend too much time on this. I don't think it's worth spending too much time in this. Basically it's validation. That's just what it is. And so I'm just gonna leave this here and know that you need this, and you'll see right now when we use it. But yeah, I really don't want to waste time typing all that. So let's go straight into the auth controller. So let's do, first we want to do a console log of the body, rect.body. So this is what like we're gonna get as an input, and we're gonna see this, whether right now that we're testing in Postman as a JSON string, and well, in the front end, like this will come from the form. So that we want to do, create a user. So we're calling this a user, and that's going to be of type the model that we created in our models folder as a schema. So we want to save that user, and basically we want to have the error and the save, the error and the user in our anonymous function, because if the user is successful, then we return the user, otherwise we return the error. So what we're going to do is, if we have an error, let the user know about the error. So return res.status 400 JSON, and we're going to do the error handler error, which is coming from our handler, the one that I just showed you guys. Now user salt equals undefined, user hashed password equals undefined, res.json, and I'll explain right now what's happening. You guys may have questions of, hey, why are we setting this to undefined? Okay, so now the user is saved. If the user is saved, then we're done, right? This will get saved in the database with the hash password, with the salt. But what we're doing here is that after that, this constant, which is the user that we created, momentaneously, like this is not permanent, obviously. This is not going to be saved. This right here is not going to be saved. We're setting the salt undefined and the hash password undefined because we're going to send some information to the front end or to the console, and we don't want that to be shown. So I mean, right here, we're returning a JSON string, and we don't want people to know what our salt and hash password is. But this is already saved in the database, so don't worry that right now we're undefining it. We're just making this undefined so that no one knows what our user hashed password and salt is. So now that we have this, we have our controller. We're gonna put it on a route, and we're going to put it as a parameter in a route, and we're gonna call it here. We're gonna import it. Okay, so let's make sure that we don't have any typo. We're good. Database running. So now let's go to Postman and let's create a new user. Just to, you always want to go to Postman and test your routes. You want to make sure that your routes work. You want to make sure that whatever you're creating is solid. So hence why we're doing this. And this is really good practice, of course. So these are all my projects. So I'm going to create a new collection, which is basically like a new project where I'm going to be testing stuff. Now I'm calling this YouTube API. Cool. Alright. So these are for other projects. So you're gonna go into Postman and you're gonna do HTTP localhost, and this for another project. So remember that we append API. So we're gonna go to index just so you guys remember. So we append API, sorry, and users. And after that fact, we also append SignUp. So we have to use those three parameters. Don't forget. So API, users, and SignUp. Now that we have that, we want to do a post request. Why is this a post? Because we're sending information into the API in order to obviously save it into the database. So this is going to be a post request. So whenever you're sending information, it's going to be a post request. So the body, we're going to make it raw, and this is going to be of JSON application. And what we want to do, the only thing that is required is the name, the email, and the password. Everything else is going to be empty as default, and it's going to be filled as we go along with the project. So we're going to do name, and type this exactly as I'm typing it, because JSON notation is very strict when it comes to typing. You have to have double quote marks. You cannot use single. So just type this as I'm typing it. Obviously change the name, email, and password, but like the structure is very important. So Arturo Filio, email gmail.com, password. Remember that this is going to be saved in the database with a hash and a salt, but for now I'm just going to put backpack 123, and let's post this and let's see what we'll get. We may get an error. We don't know. Oh, look at that. We just created our first user. Sweet. So this user is created, and we can move on the next video into the signing route. So last thing before you guys leave, because I want you guys to know about this. This is very useful. It'll help to verify stuff. Download Robo 3T. This I think I mentioned it before, but I'm gonna mention it again either way. This is kind of like your MySQL workbench, and here you can test whether I don't know. You can see the document. So YouTube API. What? Oh, video game was my database for this tutorial. Video games. Here it is. So collections, users. So now here we only have one document because I just created this document. And here is Arturo Filio. We have email salt. Oh, I didn't explain the role. The role is for in case you want to do a website with an admin route, you can create a role, or you can put a, I don't know, authority or role, authority, seniority, credential. Well, not credentials. Yeah, credentials, I don't know. But either way, so role like 0 because it's just normal user, or you can change it to 1 if you wanted to make it an admin. And the way is that as default, you create all like normal users. But if you want to create like an admin for like, say, this client, you just go into the database yourself and change the document. Just go here, for example, edit document, go here and save it. So now my document, if I put view document again, my role now is type of admin. Just so you guys know, because I think I forgot to explain what this role was for. Now the tutorial is already going to 36. So thank you guys for watching. I'm posting a lot of details on the comment section, so please look at the comment section. If you like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.